Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. But today is the 18th of January 2024, and these are the stories that we will be deciphering during the course of the show. We'll begin, ladies and gentlemen, with Pakistan's reaction to the strikes that Iran, of course, undertook in the night of the day before yesterday and yesterday. Now, Pakistan hit in the early hours of the 18th of January, that is today. It carried out effective strikes against the hideouts inside Iran used by terrorists responsible for the recent attacks in Pakistan. These strikes were carried out using killer drones, rockets, loitering munitions and standoff weapons. Maximum care was also taken to avoid collateral damage. The hideouts were used by terrorist organizations, namely Balochistan Liberation Army and Balochistan Liberation Front, and were successfully struck in this intelligence-based operation, codenamed Marg Bar Sarmachar. We will be highlighting the importance of these strikes by the Pakistani side in the context of the Iranian strikes as well. What is the way forward now, and what is the reaction from both the side, from the Pakistani side as well as from the Iranian side? We'll also try to understand how different countries across the world are taking the Iranian strikes on Pakistan, and what they feel it needs to be done by both the countries. Different aspects of this whole incident will be discussed with my eminent guests during the course of the show. We will then, in our second topic, be discussing day 104 of the Israel-Palestinian conflict, the war that has been going on. Aid is finally headed into Gaza after a deal has been made that was brokered by other countries. And now finally, I hope that the aid will be reaching the people, because there's one thing that the aid enters Palestine, it's another thing that it reaches the people who really need it. Israel has also increased the attacks on Khan Yunis in southern Gaza, has sent tanks westwards as well. The United Nations rights experts are also warning that food is being used as a weapon against the Palestinian people as Israel continues to bomb and block aid to the territory. This is going to be our second story. Then we are going to talk about Google, that is laying off hundreds of people because it is adopting artificial intelligence tools. In January last year, Alphabet, that of course owns Google, had announced plans to cut 12,000 jobs, or 6% of their workforce, of its global workforce. As of September, they already cut down, and now in January, they have again further reduced their workforce, because they want to replace their workforce with artificial intelligence. What does that bode also for the future of those who are working in different organizations? Will they also be replaced? And a huge question mark that remains around so many people's minds and hearts. Finally, we are going to talk about Japan, that aims to become the 5th country by landing on the moon. It is going to put a spacecraft on the moon when it attempts a precision landing on Friday, in what seems to be a boost for a space program that has suffered a wave of setbacks. Of course, all the best for Japan. Let's begin with our first segment, and that concerns Pakistan's response to the Iranian strikes. We all saw how the Foreign Office responded, and now in the early hours of this morning, Pakistan carried out effective strikes against the terrorist hideouts inside of Iranian territories. We've been joined by two important guests to discuss more of that. Let me introduce them to you one by one. On my very right is Lieutenant General Raza Mohammad Khan Sahab. He's a defense analyst. Normally we see you online. It's a pleasure to have you in the studios today. Our second guest is Ambassador Nasir Ali Khan, former ambassador and foreign affairs expert. Thank you very much, sir, to have joined us. Let's begin with you, Lieutenant General Raza Mohammad Khan Sahab. This operation, codenamed Marg Bar Sarmachar, of course highly coordinated, specifically targeted precision military strikes against the terrorist hideouts in Sistan-Balochistan province of Iran, and of course on the basis of credible intelligence that was received of impending large-scale terrorist activities by these so-called Sarmachars. How important was this series of strikes under the current circumstances for Pakistan?
Okay, Bismillah Rahman Rahim. I think first of all, I'd like to say that what Iran did was unfortunate and regrettable because they attacked, I think, 3 Islamic countries. And I think I was reading some commentary about the effectiveness of the OIC and the so-called cooperation and coordination among Muslim countries. So this has been an unfortunate kind of event to which Pakistan has replied, because this was Pakistan's national security compulsion. Pakistan had to actually re-establish deterrence, which is part of its policy, and it could not have ignored what Iran did. So I think Pakistan and Iran have been in the past, in the 60s and 70s, they had actually been carrying out joint counter-terrorism operations in Balochistan area, and I'm not only talking of our part of the Balochistan, but the Iranian part of Balochistan also, and there used to be very close coordination and very close border management between the two countries. Unfortunately, that has not happened, despite the fact that we provided detailed dossiers with specific proofs of the presence of BLA and BLF inside Iranian territory. And before that, of course, it was Kulbhushan Yadav who was living in Iran.
He entered Pakistan through their border.
Through their border, and I think even on that occasion, neither did we ask any explanation from Iran, and nor did Iran bother, to tell us why that had happened and why was he using an Iranian passport for that. Again, most intriguing is the presence of the Indian foreign minister in Tehran on the day when these attacks were carried out. I think BLA and BLF, the whole world knows, and even Modi had confessed that they support all these separatist and terrorist organizations. And probably, it was India who may have provided, fake intelligence to the government of Iran of the presence of some so-called terrorists there. And of course, India has always been trying to create differences not only between Iran and Pakistan, but also between Pakistan and Afghanistan. I'm sure, both the governments must look at this aspect also about the role of India in whatever has happened. And we hope that de-escalation starts now.
All right. Let's hope the de-escalation starts. So, Ambassador Nasir Ali Khan Saab, I'd like to kind of extend a little bit of what General Raza Muhammad Khan Saab said. In a statement by the Foreign Office today, it was said that over the last several years, in our engagements with Iran, and I'm quoting exactly what the spokesperson said, Pakistan has consistently shared its serious concerns about the safe havens and sanctuaries that are enjoyed by Pakistani origin terrorists calling themselves Sarmachars on the ungoverned spaces inside of Iran. Pakistan has also shared multiple dossiers, this also has been said by Raza Muhammad Khan Saab, with concrete evidence of the presence and activities of these terrorists. In your point of view, as a diplomat, why didn't Iran respond in kind when all the information or details were given to it, and time and again it was reminded of what is happening within their territories?
Right now, in the immediate past, what happened was, as General Saab pointed out, for some reason, which for some people is quite baffling, that at a time like this, when they are surrounded by enemies or that they are walking a thin knife's edge vis-a-vis the conflict in Gaza, they have people like, I should say, they've been accused of helping the Houthis, helping Hezbollah, helping Hamas, and then groups within Iraq and Syria. Yes, we have been giving them dossiers, and they ought to have done something concrete about it. But as General Saab pointed out, we need to have a credible deterrence. We cannot
there was no
allow,
option. Pakistan was left
we
with
were
no other
left with
option.
no option. So my point is, like for example, when the foreign minister of Iran called our foreign minister, who was apparently in Uganda or somewhere on some
Yes, on the
NAM,
movement.
he had taken some group of NAM delegates. He ought to have
You were at a
said,
ministerial meeting of the NAM.
yes,
basically.
so he ought to have encouraged the foreign minister to actually visit Pakistan so that we could sort out this issue, which for us is not only very urgent but also something that
You know,
is-
Ambassador Saab, with due respect, the fact remains that this is something that has been initiated by Iran. This is something that if there was anything that needed to be done, it should have also been initiated by Iran. That this has happened. Whether they are sorry for it or not is another thing altogether. But it is not initiated by Pakistan. Let's make things very clear here. This was initiated by Iran. Pakistan responded in kind because that is what Pakistan's right is under the United Nations protocols and all the other diplomatic protocols that govern the relations between states. This said, I also fail to understand why the Iranian foreign minister, who was meeting with our caretaker prime minister in Davos as well, why wouldn't he broach the subject when these things were happening at the same time, and why then after that has there been no proper statement from the Iranian side as well, from the Iranian Foreign Office, as far as this strike is concerned? Because if I remind you, there has been a statement that all the people who Pakistan has targeted are not Iranians.
Yes, but you see, my point is, whatever the reason, as far as the Iranian foreign minister is concerned, my opinion is that there was a disconnect somewhere. It's not possible that he was talking to our prime minister while this was going on along our border. And so there is perhaps a certain amount of disconnect within the Iranian government.
All right.
However,
that could be possible.
I need to reiterate that for us this situation is very dire, and we are a military which is far more powerful than the Iranian military, not least of which is our nuclear deterrent. But at the end of the day, yes, we cannot allow the world to see that somebody can attack, cross over the border and attack a territory.
It's an attack on our sovereignty,
and that
Ambassador
we
Saab.
would not respond.
General Saab, yes.
On the same question of warning, I heard the Irani defense minister, who is also heading the IRGC, saying that they had given sufficient notices before attacking, what they call terrorist camps in Iraq and in Syria. But he totally omitted, why did he not, give some kind of a warning to Pakistan? And many a time, such warnings are essential to avoid collateral damages. So they gave it, in their case, but they did not give it to us, which is again, very, very strange. And I think when this aspect is discussed subsequently at other levels, I think we must raise this issue with them once again. Also, I think the whole world should have condemned the Iranian attack, because they were the first one to carry out an aggression. In this case, only the United States, of course, clubbed it with Iran's attack, in the other two countries, and they openly condemned it. And unfortunately, India tried to take advantage of this by some of the TV channels said that, look, we have been telling the world that there are terrorists in Pakistan and all that. And I think condemnation did not come from other countries as was expected by the people of Pakistan.
All right.
So I think everyone should have condemned that aggression.
There were some countries that did. I mean, there was not.
I think two or three countries openly did it. The other, they chose to be quiet about it. And I think we need to take a lesson from that also. Why were some countries whom we think are very close to us were quiet about this? Okay, and coming back to, I think, this area where Iran says, that there are alleged terrorists in that area. I think both on our side and as well as their side, I've been through both the areas.
All right.
And I've seen, there is a difficult terrain in this area. It comprises mountains as well as deserts. The people of both the areas, the Iranian Sistan and Balochistan and our side of Balochistan, again, it is controlled, by some kind of, levies, which is a lower rung of security than even the police. And there is a lot of smuggling going on in that area, not only of oil and gas, but also of US dollar, which are being smuggled through hundi and hawala, and even physically to Iran, like our dollars are going to Afghanistan. And I'm sure now the government of Pakistan and the LEAs will focus more on the security of that area, and will ensure that elements which could be detrimental to the security of either Pakistan or Iran are not here. And that is only possible if Iran also erects a border fence on their side. We have actually fenced only 50% of the Pak-Iran border because of shortages of funds. And Iran should now immediately also fence that area. They have ample funds to do that. And Pakistan and Iran can do it jointly. And it's not only that, I think it should be monitored jointly through satellites, through physical sort of watches and all that, to make sure that such incidents, do not occur in future.
Anyways, the fact remains that Pakistan has struck as a retaliatory measure to what Iran did a couple of hours before, and in the early hours of the day, Pakistan also reacted. And of course, the fact also remains that a lot of countries are trying to now diffuse the tension that exists between Pakistan and Iran, and let's see how those efforts bore fruit. Also, the fact remains that Pakistan has said time and time again, and I'd also like to refer to the Foreign Office statement, which says that Pakistan fully respects the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Islamic Republic of Iran. The sole objective of today's act was in pursuit of Pakistan's own security and national interest, which is paramount and cannot be compromised. General Saab, I'll refer to the same statement to you. Pakistan, this is a statement by the Foreign, Pakistan fully respects the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Iran, and the sole objective of today's act was in pursuit of Pakistan's own security and national interest that is paramount and cannot be compromised. It's a very important statement, not only for Pakistan, for Pakistanis, but also to give a message to all those, especially those hostile neighbors who are trying or vying for any opportunity whatsoever to malign Pakistan or to destabilize Pakistan. What's your take on that?
Absolutely. I think probably there were bigger plans, and Iran was misguided about all this. And I agree with the statement of Hina Rabbani Khar and also the Foreign Office that whatever Iran did was totally unwarranted. And I think Iran must remember, that in the past, when many Middle Eastern countries, they broke diplomatic relations with Iran, and they even broke trade relations with them for their own reasons. I think Pakistan continued to support Iran, not only in the OIC and with those countries, even when the relations between
General Sahab, I have to cut you short because we've been joined again by Hina Rabbani Khar Sahib. But thank you, ma'am, to have joined us. I was reading your tweet, and of course, you highlighted the action that Iran took as far as this strike on Pakistani soil is concerned. In your point of view, Iran being the country that it is, and the relationship that we've had with it, how, in your point of view, and why could Iran take such an action?
Look, if it was a rational action, or if it was a logical action, or if it was an action which was codified by law and within the umbrella of international law, according to the Charter, or in line with the type of relationship that we've had with them, I could give you a very solid answer. But because it is entirely irrational, unexpected, almost to the point of being ridiculous, because in the morning, the foreign minister of Iran is meeting the caretaker prime minister. He mentions nothing about it or any concerns. And of course, there are concerns which have been shared by both sides over many, many years and perhaps even decades, which is ongoing. Then we have, counterterrorism dialogue with them. Our naval ships are over there. Their special Pakistan is in Pakistan. So in a complete normal environment, state-to-state relations, when someone does something which is as brazen and provocative and escalatory as this, then you have to look for reasons which are elsewhere, which are not contacts or what's happening either way. And I think the reasons are pretty much sort of within the fabric of the Iranian society and their domestic compulsions and the need to show their strength in the light of the security challenges that they have faced in the last month and even before.
In your point of view, I again refer to what you posted online. You said that the region cannot afford another escalation. Pakistan's action today shows that it will never choose to escalate, but has both the will and the capacity to respond to external threats and any attack on its sovereignty. Has the message gotten across in your point of view? And what are the options that Pakistan has now?
Look, Pakistan had two options. One was to do nothing. The other was to do only diplomatic, very strong diplomatic, or to also show, because the day that the Iranian strikes took place, if you listen to the Iranian foreign minister's comments in Davos, they were a dangerous set of lines that he used, because he seemed to be propagating or promoting the idea that it was perfectly normal or fine to have completely normal relations, but in order to protect their own national interests, what they called, or security, they are obliged to or are at, are fully allowing themselves to enter Pakistani territory and carry out strikes. Now that, according to the Westphalian model, according to the UN Charter, according to state-to-state normal international law, is completely illegal and cannot be justified. Nowadays self-defense is used rather liberally all over the world. And I think that has been very damaging for the rules-based order. But leave that bigger debate aside. When a country which shares a 900-kilometer border with you thinks that it is okay to have, under the light of normal relations or under the umbrella of normal relations, that they can do one strike and tomorrow perhaps continue to do multiple strikes and still go back to normal relations, that's not how you carry state-to-state relations. And that I believe, I said this elsewhere also, that Iran's actions have created a crater of distrust between the two countries. And as someone who worked very hard together with the Foreign Office, under the guidance of the Pakistan People's Party and all governments in Pakistan, all institutions in Pakistan, I know the work that has been put in the last 15 years to try and build trust, to try and build institutional mechanisms with our Iranian counterparts. So all of these issues can be solved on the diplomatic table, on dialogue that is ongoing on counterterrorism, institutional dialogue, border market mechanism. And what makes me very, very sad is that all of this has been, has taken away all that hard work. And because, look, trust is built inch by inch. But one wrong action can create a crater which is impossible to fill over years and decades.
That is so true, and I just hope that better sense prevails in the days to come, because these days are also extremely crucial for the region and for stability in the region as well. Thank you very much, Rabbani Khar Sahiba, former Foreign Minister of Pakistan, to have joined us and to have given your point of view as far as this whole issue is concerned. We are a bit short of time, so I'd like to thank both of my guests. I would have loved to continue with the both of you, but unfortunately we are short of time. Lieutenant General Raza Muhammad Khan Saab as well as Nasir Ali Khan Saab. Pleasure to have the both of you on board in the studios to talk about this very, very sensitive and crucial topic for Pakistan. Let's come to our second story, ladies and gentlemen, but before that we have to go to a short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back, and our second story, ladies and gentlemen, concerns the day 104 of the conflict between Israel and Palestine. Despite the fact that a shipment of medical supplies for Israeli captives and Palestinians in need is being distributed as part of a deal that is brokered by Qatar and France, but Israel is continuing its strikes in different parts of Gaza and doesn't seem to be dissuaded by any means whatsoever as far as its brutalities is concerned. We've been joined for this segment by Ahsan Hamid Durrani. He's a director Policy Research Center and he's in the studios right here with us. Thank you very much, Ahsan, to have joined us. Ahsan, I'd like to begin with this medical supply shipment that finally kind of made its way into Palestine because of also a deal that was brokered by two other countries. But is all of this going to effectively reach the people or not? We've seen so many countries, including Pakistan, send consignments of aid. But what the whole dilemma is that many a times it happens that the aid never reaches the people who are in need, and the crisis that they are facing as we speak is insurmountable. Do you feel that this shipment is maybe a step in the right direction? Should we have hope for a future of such a deal?
Well, I think the deal is important in a way that it has laid the foundation of some international brokerage in terms of delivering humanitarian aid. But I think it does not suffice or it's not adequate for the mass scale of destruction or the humanitarian losses or injuries that have occurred in the Gaza Strip. Also, in most cases, because there is no, the international media has been targeted. Just recently, a couple of days ago, a UN worker was, a UN official was actually killed by the Israeli Defense Forces, and some international media have also been jeopardized. So what we are seeing is that there's not a lot of access and lot of transparency in terms of delivery of this aid to the actual beneficiaries. And now that the weather is getting harsher, it's winter season, and when you have such a
you have a lack of medicine, you have a lack of food, you have a lack of water, you have a lack of proper sanitation, and even the water that is available is not of a clean variety. So this gives rise to many diseases. We are hearing of hepatitis C that is slowly getting prevalent amongst the people, and so on and so forth. The need to help the people is paramount under the current circumstances. But is Israel understanding the whole dilemma, or is it intentional, whatever it is doing?
No, of course, it's part of their strategy to increase the cost of humanitarian aid, to increase the alleviations, to decrease the alleviations of the suffering, and also, I mean, it's not in their interest so far to give way to these humanitarian aids. But I think what should be done is that the UN should play its role and send its peacekeeping forces as well as some humanitarian workers to,
if it is allowed, to let their peacekeeping forces enter Palestine.
But at least during the humanitarian pause that is being currently brokered, these peacekeeping forces should be there for the purpose of delivering the humanitarian aid to the beneficiaries.
That is possible. 24,448 people have perished, have been killed mercilessly, and by the time we are talking about it, I think the number has increased, and more than 61,500 people have been wounded as far as this is concerned. Then to add to this misery is the airstrikes that are going on continuously in different areas, the latest being in Rafah, which is supposed to be a safe zone as far as Israel is concerned. It has killed 16 people, including children who were sheltering in a home. What do you foresee as far as this is concerned? This increased brutality in the form of killing people is concerned, and mercilessly killing people and then denying them their rights to access medicine, food or water. What do you foresee happening in the next couple of days? You are talking of a ceasefire that could be brokered, might be brokered, but you know, a ceasefire remains a ceasefire, and in the past also there were talks of ceasefire, but what happened was a truce. You know, will it be a truce this time as well, or will there be an actual ceasefire?
No, actually we are seeing some good news in terms of Saudi and larger GCC bloc brokering another deal in terms of a permanent ceasefire with Israel, but that includes and there's a catch to it, that Saudi has to normalize its ties with Israel. We've seen it in a couple of international media as well. But the catch is that there will be a permanent ceasefire and there will be a Palestinian statehood as part of the deal. So if that happens, I mean, of course, there will be a cost for Saudi Arabia as well, because it will be politically engaged in this deal, and the onus will be on Saudi. But Saudi is allegedly, I mean, considering normalization. This was part of the international media as well. So if that deal is brokered, I think that will somehow leads to a permanent ceasefire. But coming back,
but you know, ceasefire is one thing, and the next step, which of course the international media is also posting as far as the kingdom is concerned, is a two-state solution that they are vying for. That, and I think that's a step in the very right direction. But what kind of future does a two-state solution have as far as Palestine is concerned under the current circumstances? Do you have any hope as far as that is concerned?
I think what Israeli actions are contrary to that. Their defense minister is saying that the residents of Gaza should go to Egypt or to Syria, and I mean their actions, their statements are in counter to what the deal is purportedly saying. But I mean, it will have to come down at the end between the Palestinians and the Israelis to sort this issue out. I think no amount of outsider deals would cut it.
But Israel is in no mood to broker a deal of any kind until and unless it is put under sufficient pressure.
Yeah, exactly. And until and unless they complete the annexation of the Gaza Strip, which has been part of their grand strategy.
And their strategy does not end there. They want a complete occupation of the Gaza Strip and a settlement of their refugees there.
Yes, exactly. That's, I think.
You know, Israel's far-right national security minister also, Mr. Itamar Ben-Gvir, has called for Israel's occupation of the Gaza Strip and said that Palestinians must be, I mean, this is what he was saying, encouraged to leave the territory. He was talking to Israel's Channel 13 News. We've seen statements like these in the past as well. We've seen mowing the lawn. You know, if you remember in the very beginning, there were statements like these. When there is a complete disregard for a race that has been occupied by Israel, the land is not theirs, the land is that of the Palestinian people. And since the last few decades, slowly and steadily, they are creeping into more and more Palestinian territories. What is the end game?
I think the end game is, as mentioned before, the complete annexation of the Palestinian lands and the establishment of the greater Israeli state. And I think they won't stop there. We have recently heard statements even from the same Israeli minister that we may open up a front with Yemen as well. So I mean, what they're trying is that they will not stop with this, and until and unless the Gulf countries, including these poor countries like Yemen, Syria, they come together and stop this aggression by uniting forces. I think this project of Israeli expansion won't stop. And I think the onus lies on US as well. These Gulf states should hold the US accountable as well, because the US has been supplying arms, moral international support, diplomatic support in the UN General Assembly and the Security Council as well. So I think pressure should be built on those. And I think what the Palestinians can do is the Palestinian diaspora in the US or in the West should, because it's the election year in 2024 is the election year in US. So I think they should ask or and this applies to the general Muslim majority in these Western capitals, is that they should ask their legislators that what they have done for the Palestinians before voting for them.
Let's hope that happens, and let's hope, that there is a huge political ramification for the countries involved that have been supporting Israel as far as this is concerned. Thank you so very much, Ahsan, Hamid, Durrani. We were a bit short, but it was very interesting to have you on board. Hope to see more of you in the coming days as far as this and more issues are concerned. Thank you very much to have joined us. Let's come to our last two stories very, very quickly. The first is Google CEO Sundar Pichai, who has told employees to expect more job cuts at Google. This has been reported on various websites. In December of last year, it was heard that job cuts might be coming to Google's ad sales division, and now it's here. Business Insider has reported that Google is laying off hundreds of employees from the ad sales team. The cuts are mostly in large customer sales, which serves the country's biggest clients, and all of this is being replaced by artificial intelligence. A huge question mark on what happens to the future of other such workforces in such organizations as well. Finally, Japan is aiming to become the 5th country, ladies and gentlemen, to put a spacecraft on the moon when it attempts a precision landing on Friday. This is going to be a boost for, of course, the space program for Japan. This is known as the Moon Sniper. The Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency probe is expecting or attempting to land within 100 meters of its target, and this is a technology, it says, it's unprecedented and essential in the search for moon water and human habitability. So let's see, who knows, in the next couple of decades we might have human habitation happening on the moon as well, because we're already overpopulated on the earth. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of today's news. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with news story segments that pertain to us, you in Pakistan. Stay safe. Allah Hafiz.